Hey, how's it going? It's been a while since I've used this software myself and not just been a guest on somebody else's thing. I was like, am I live? Am I live? Oh, I need to click this button that says go live. So here I am. Sorry if I keep like looking down. I've got one of those situations where my webcam is up here, my laptop is down here. Not the most ideal thing, but I'm already streaming, so just gonna go with it. So, how's everybody out there doing? Good, I hope. So, I don't know. I did a series a little while ago that I didn't feel like putting the time and effort into researching stuff and gathering my thoughts, and I just did a bunch of videos of me opening mail, and that was really fun because it was a little less pressure to than to like I don't know pour through Wikipedia and Metal Archives to double check all my facts. But I thought it would be better kind of in a live context. And as previously stated, I have all this additional surplus free time on my hands after moving down here. I'm not working as much. So I figured, what the hey, I'd let mail pile up for a couple of weeks and then open it with my fun-loving viewers. What's going on here? Brian Arkham. What's up, Brian? What's up, Hugh? Where's the thing showing how many people are watching? God, I'm ancient. 7, 10. Oh, wow. Awesome. All right. Pop is learning technology. So this, just got this. This was just a big spending spree on eBay. Import CDs. I think a lot of people probably order from them. Lots of good metal stuff. Lots of imported metal stuff. Let's see. What's up, Eric? All righty. Fat stack. We got on top here forced entry, uncertain future. So I never really got intimately familiar with this one. The one after this, As Above So Below, is like one of my favorite thrash records from the early 90s. More on that soon. I'm going to be doing a video specifically on early 90s thrash. I don't like this one as much from what I've heard. I feel like the second one has more like interesting bits that are kind of out of left field. This, as far as I remember from what I've like previewed, is a pretty straightforward kind of thrash record. From what I remember, Eric can probably chime in on that. But it's good from what I remember. So I wanted to pull the trigger on that. Let's see, trying to pay attention to chat here too. Yeah, it does rip, Brian, for sure. Venom Primeval, another upgrade. I have a tape that's a little on the beat side. So as far as I remember, the first one with Demolition Man, one of the first ones with Tony Dolan. My dog's losing it in the background because the mail has arrived. Piper's going off. But yeah, I love Primeval. I think it's low rated. Exploring that whole catalog, I haven't done that much. I've mostly just listened to this, but I've heard some of the other Tony Dolan stuff that I've liked. Seem to remember Temples of Ice being pretty good. Another one, I talked about that fourth Omen record a couple of updates back, and I can't remember the singer's name, but somebody mentioned is like, oh yeah, that's the guy that sang on Annihilator's Never Neverland record. So I bought that. Alice in Hell I really liked. Judging by the reviews I read, this is a little bit like less thrashy and a little bit more traditional metal, I guess, a little bit more melodic. But I thought I'd pick it up because I never really I never liked Annihilator as a young metalhead teen in my early teens. And I always caught the video for that Alice in Hell song on, I have one of those Hard and Heavy compilations of like thrash metal videos. I always thought the video was ridiculous. And the song is kind of ridiculous too. It's okay. The rest of that album's really good though. And it has Randy Rampage from DOA. Can't go wrong. Eric still does not like Annihilator. I mean, it's an acquired taste, you know. It's definitely kind of cornball stuff, but it's fun cornball stuff. This I bought at the recommendation of a viewer whose name I can't remember. Don't take it personally. I've got a terrible, dusty old brain. Green Lung, Black Harvest. This is just was recommended to me as a really good Doom record. Much anticipated sequel to the critically acclaimed debut album Woodland Rights. This is heavy metal how it should be done by The Guardian. Don't you read The Guardian, Neil? Young ones? Anyone? Anyway, so yeah, I don't even know what this sounds like, but it's a Doom band called Green Lung, and it's got a stained glass church window for the artwork, which means I'll probably like it. Those aesthetics are up my alley. Have you heard Criteria for Black Widow? It's the Allison Hell lineup minus the bassist. No, haven't heard it. Singer from that Annihilator album now works in a plastic manufacturing company these days. Go figure. Death SS, Heavy Demons. Earlier Death SS stuff, like somewhere in the, I want to say mid-'80s. Eric, you could probably help me out with this. Yeah, I've been getting more and more into Death SS lately. The super early stuff is wicked crucial, super influential. And Death of Steve Sylvester is a phenomenal album. I had a later one, orange cover with Jesus on it. I think I sold that one. I wasn't as into it, but I have heard Heavy Demons. It's great. Super Crush, Italian horror metal. Cryptic and crazy. This was just kind of like a why not kind of scenario. I think one more CD and I would have more or less gotten one free or free shipping or whatever. So I just kind of randomly grabbed this. And it's, might not have been the best idea, but we'll see. Amorphous Magic and Mayhem. That's, of course, a re-recording album of like stuff from the first two, Corellian, Isthmus, and Black Winter Day, the second album too. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it is. I'm not like, I don't know. Those early albums, did they need to be recorded? Like I saw different things about this online saying like, oh, it's a big improvement over the old production. I thought the old production on Tales from a Thousand Lakes and Corellian Isthmus was fine, but I figured what the hell, I'd check it out. Yeah. Paul Chain stuff is great. Great shit. Steve Sylvester book. Yeah, it looks like, I don't know. It looks like Death SS did a lot of stuff and I think are still kicking around in one form or another. And I think it kind of varies in quality from what I've caught on about it. So then Vardis, exploring all this kind of second and third tier new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And this is a live record, I guess. Again, the internet spoke very favorably of it. I've heard their stuff. I like it a lot. High intensity, kind of rocking NWO BHM stuff. So I'll be looking forward to spitting that. I got another box of CDs here. Yeah, I think this is all eBay stuff again. Be awesome if I like accidentally cut my thumb off on air. Get the clicks. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a Discogs pile. So to compile all this stuff for this early 90s thrash video that I'm going to be working on soon. I got stuff that I wasn't even super into, like a couple of songs I dug, but fortunately it worked out that most of this stuff is pretty cheap. This is one I always saw an ad for in Thrasher all the time. Malaya Rage, Solitary Solitude. I really always, even as a kid, I hated it because of the redundant title of it. I never even heard it until very recently. But like Lonely Aloneness, Lonely Loneliness, Solitary Solitude. Kill to Survive, the one before this, is a bit more like up-tempo kind of thrashy. This is that, I listened to it a bunch since I bought it, before I bought it, rather, on YouTube and stuff. And I even downloaded it to my phone using SoulSeek to really get familiar with it. It's cool, but it's more this kind of mid-pace, like thrashy, dark. Maybe they're listening to a lot of like Into the Mirrored Black by Sanctuary and like Fear of God. Like it's kind of almost like a post thrash kind of chunky metal, moody kind of thing. Boston band though. And the Boston thrash metal scene of the late 80s and early 90s has really been fascinating me lately. Cause I mean, I lived in Boston half my life. Right. But I wasn't around for any of that stuff. I didn't come there till like the very end of the 90s. So all these bands that were kind of oddball, like Seika and Maelstrom, Formicide were a lot more straightforward. The members from that went on to do Only Living Witness. The guitarist is in Slapshot now. There's an interesting scene that came out of there. Executioner, that was like Seth Putnam's band before AC. Postmortem, of course. A lot of interesting bands out of Boston. So, but these guys were definitely one of the more commercial thrash bands. And I like that record about halfway through, and then it kind of fizzles out. But I'll be talking about it more when I do that. Check up on the comments here. Thumb amputation. Phalanges. Excellent use of the word phalanges. This X-ray tech over here appreciates that. Yeah, I was Brian, I was actually surprised. Ben hit me to the fact that you can get mobile SoulSeek, which I went nuts with for like a couple of weeks and just like downloaded all this hard to find stuff and then put it in my Dropbox cloud like I do everything else. But I have a new phone, one of those gimmicky foldy phones, you know, Android phones and Samsungs, and it's got like a crazy amount of storage on it, like 500 gigs or something. So I just went hog wild and downloaded all this stuff and then immediately just like deleted it off after I loaded up into a cloud. There's a lot of bootleg stuff and like Sam Hain live stuff and other superfluous kind of crap. Voorhees, Smiling at Death. This is great. I'm not sure how many hardcore fans are in the chat here, but very like American, one of the earlier American 80s style hardcore bands to not exist in America or in the 80s. British band from like the mid 90s, was from the, I believe, the Bradford Leeds area. Played and were friends with like a lot of crusty bands and stuff. They played with like Doom and stuff on occasion, but they were like angry, raw, hardcore, worshiping Negative Effects and Negative Approach and that kind of stuff. They were one of the first and still one of the best to do it. Great, great band. I got to see them once in the UK when I was over there with DS13, and they killed it. They're awesome. Just pretty great discography. They have one or two records where they're kind of trying to get a little bit more metallic a la Hatebreed, and it's not super great, but everything else is really good. And Neglect, Hang in There, which is a really clever title. Neglect is classic Long Island, super negative, brutal hardcore. They also, I think, were buddies with some metal bands like not also, but as a point of mentioning, they were buddies with some metal bands. I think Suffocation and Internal Bleeding both name checked them, like that kind of Long Island death metal scene. Always gave respect to Neglect because they were pretty metallic at the time. Super heavy, dark stuff, like pretty comparable to Sheer Terror. And like, obviously this is a reference to self-harm, but it, you know, it just makes me think of the little kitten on the calendar for inspirational stuff. Great band. And then Morbid Angel, Entangled in Chaos, letter E. I figured, why not? I don't own this. Seems to be from a pretty good era. You know, it's all bangers on this. They kick off with Immortal Rights, close with Dominate. I think this came out around, or was recorded rather around Domination, but I'm not absolutely sure. So if you know, let me know in the comments. That's Negative Approach. Want to get into them. Luckily for you, Mr. Eternal, Negative Approach didn't do much when they were around. They did a 7-inch, a handful of demos, and a fantastic LP. All this stuff has been in print. There's if you can find it, which I think you should be able to for pretty cheap, there's a CD discography called Total Recall that has almost everything on it. It has the 7-inch, the LP tied down, a few demos, and some really hard to listen to live tracks that are kind of charming in their own way. That's pretty much all you need. They've posthumously released some demos that didn't come out back in the day that are an interesting listen, especially if you listen to songs like Tunnel Vision, which were like weirdly almost like sort of proto grind in the way that Siege was. But yeah, I mean, find yourself a used copy of Total Recall, and that's pretty much everything that you need right there. Also, John Brannon's bands that he did afterwards were really good. Different, but really good. Laughing Hyenas were like early amphetamine reptile sort of noise rock stuff. If you dig that sort of thing, which I'm not totally my bag, but they did it really well. And Easy Action was kind of a combination of both of his previous bands. Oh, this is more early 90s stuff. Check off the list here. This was another one. Always saw ads for it in Thrasher. Never owned it. I spun it, checked it out on YouTube or maybe Spotify even like 3 or 4 years ago, and was like, I don't really like the vocals, and never went back to it. So I'm going to be giving it like a little bit more of a chance now that I'm doing this research. Do your research for for this new video on early 90s. thrash metal Cyclone Temple. I hate Therefore I Am. I always like the title, and I always really like the cover art. This is very like emblematic of like early 90s thrash metal, I think. It's got sort of like a Robert Williams kind of feel, even though it's not Robert Williams art, I don't think. That kind of logo looks almost like the Zorlak logo. It's very like kind of puthead looking. And I think it was guys from Snow White that were in this band, if I'm remembering right. But Chicago stuff, criminally unsung metal scene, Chicago, of course. So I'll be looking forward to spinning this. I remember the vocals being like pretty melodic and like piercing, but I don't remember anything about it because it's been whatever 3 or 4 years since I've sampled that. Let's see. It's from the Domination tour. Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks, Devin. Total Recall. Yeah, there you go. Also, I mean, CDs, dude, CDs get really expensive if you're looking at that Total Recall. That Total Recall compilation, best of whatever, discography, really. If for whatever reason it's really pricey, both the 7-inch, which is self-titled, and the Tied Down LP have been repressed enough times recently where you could get them cheap. Like it would probably cost you like $25 total to get both. But the Total Recall discography was put out by Touch and Go, which is a still active label that keeps stuff in print as far as I know. So should be good. How about a shirt? Not like the type of channel that's like, check out my outfit, but this is something I got in the mail. Dead Heat shirt. They great band, was one of my albums of the year on my top 10. Great like thrashy hardcore stuff, channeling a lot of like nardcore like RKL and Suicidal, as well as like some kind of tougher and more metallic hardcore kind of stuff. Really good thrash band, crossover band. And once in a while they drop some smoking hot merch. So, and it never lasts long. So I figured I'd pick this up. I got a digital copy of the new album on Bandcamp with it, which was cool because I bought the LP directly from Triple B and didn't get a download. Now, this is a big one. Never a fan when stuff is packed like this, that's like kind of crammed in there. It makes me kind of worried, but that's always the dice that you roll, especially when ordering from random people on Discogs. But there's a lot of stuff in this one. Let's see here. Yeah, like, cool. It's good packaging. All right. The first Out Cold, self-titled. This goes way back to, I think, the early 90s. I just love how they look on this. They're all like wearing vests. When vests were like the least popular they'd ever been. And just up against a graffitied wall there. I think Mark Sheen, the singer, had just done a project with Gigi Allen, like right before this. He did stuff with Gigi a couple of times. Just perfect hardcore from Mass. Flawless discography, really, really fast. Like all the aforementioned bands, like not too dissimilar in sound from Voorhees. Just that super quick tempo, gruff vocal, like simple, bare bones, like fast hardcore punk stuff. You know, if you watch my channel, you know that this is like one of my default settings for stuff I want to listen to or dance that sound like it. It's like my favorite band has like 900 albums under different names, you know, but it's great. Out Cold were one of the best to do it. Singer left us a while ago now, years and years ago, which was really sad. He was a nice guy from what I caught on about him. I met him a few times, saw them at least 5 or 6 times, played with them once in Montreal, opened for them, and they blew us off the stage. They were great. Ice 9, this is a discography of a band from Arizona. This was a mistake. I thought it was the other Ice 9, the one that has a split with Charles Bronson that were more of like a spazzy, screamo, grind kind of band. This is kind of a tougher hardcore, like more like metallic hardcore band from the early 90s. We all make mistakes. This was cheap, but they're good. They're actually really good. Kind of metallic and thrashy. I like the little sticker that just says local band right there. They turned out to be pretty decent. So it's, it all comes out in the wash. You know what I mean? What's weird is I was looking at their Discogs, and their one active member is some guy that I know from Philly that lived in Syracuse for years. So I don't know what the story is with that. It was guy Doug that was in a band called Herman DeKalb. So I don't know how this rando guy from like Syracuse via Philly is still in this band that stopped releasing stuff in 1992. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe that wasn't intended. It's an error. Who knows? Did I work with Jay from Out Cold at Noobs? No, I don't think so. I might have and not known it. They were pretty like unassuming guys. I don't think so though. I did work with Skase from Mental and the Wrong Side, and that guy was really cool. Minus Rage. The name of the band is Minus. Again, I was just like looking through this guy's Discog stuff and decided to pick this up just based on the cover. It's Japanese, what appears to be Crust. I'm just going to go with Crust by how those guys look on the back. It's on Tribal War Asia, which always put out good stuff. And this was like, I don't know, $5 or $6. So I like blind buying stuff. It's fun. Then we've got Holier Than Thou, High on Barbecue. This band was great. Members of Life Salt were also great. This band was another long before Dead Heat. This was one of the first bands to kind of do almost sort of a Suicidal Tendencies worship thing, skatecore kind of thing, super fast, like kind of the era of, that first wave of crossover Rebirth along with Municipal Waste, but also Bones Brigade and DFA and all those bands. This band was really, really good. Super unsung. They've got another record called Hating of the Guts, which I highly recommend. And they did a few more as well, and it's all really good. It's quality. Oh, singer from Polyglot. Okay. No, I still don't think so, but I want to listen to and get a hold of some Polyglot stuff, because Ian from Blood for Blood was in that band too. And it seems like they were like, if they were from Maine, kind of coming from a different place, like they probably didn't sound really like anything else. And like that kind of stuff is always really appealing to me. Case in point. Oh, there's boobs on this. Will I get in trouble? Will I get EBS? Oh, there's boobs on the back too. What are you going to do? EBS. This is a discography. Can I just go like this? There we go. Discography. This is a Florida band. My friend Dave was spinning this stuff. He was showing it off on Instagram. It was a 7-inch, and he's got a really good taste in hardcore. Pulls out a lot of like obscure stuff. He's Glue Step on Instagram if you want to add him. Always showing off cool records. A lot of like international hardcore stuff, some metal too. But I figured if Dave likes it, I should maybe pick it up. And that again was cheap. It's they did a split with Failure Face, who were like the Florida hardcore band of the 90s that played like faster, thrashy, almost kind of power violence hardcore, fronted by Bob Surin, who's a pretty legendary figure down there and did the Sound Idea distro and record store for a long time. So I figured Failure Face, Dave likes him, whatever. I know it's just manic, crazy 80s style hardcore, so I picked it up. Underside. This is another random. I think I saw this band like a couple of times when I was a kid. Like melodic mid 90s, early to mid 90s, kind of post-hardcore stuff. Not too dissimilar from what I remember. Stuff like Quicksand or maybe some of the DC stuff that was out at the time. So, not like super heavy hardcore, almost kind of post-hardcore kind of stuff. 90s style. Sunday matinee stuff I used to check out. Oh, and these are the kind of pricier numbers that I jumped in on. World Full of Hate by the Farts. If you know me, you know that I love The Accused very much. This is where Blaine from The Accused got his start with the Farts. They're called the Farts. Yeah, it's definitely more straightforward, kind of hardcore stuff. Blaine's vocal style isn't too different from what came later, though. He's got those crazy manic, straight jacket larynx taking a vacation to Aruba kind of vocals. Really awesome stuff. I think this is an original. Yeah, this is an older pressing. 82. Alternative Tentacles. Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks, Eric. I totally forgot about that. Duff McKagan was in the Farts for a minute there. Certainly worth mentioning. Then the Hardcore Holocaust, compilation of Peel sessions, songs by mostly grind and kind of crust bands, electro hippies, EN Glare, Stupids, Napalm Death, Bolt Thrower, Doomed, Doctor and the Crippins, Intense Degree. There, I think 2 volumes of this. I have the other one on tape, but all this is just, yeah, Bolt Thrower, Attack in the Aftermath, Intense Degree, Skateboard, Napalm Death, Moral Crusade, MAD, Divine Death Control. Bunch of each band has at least 2 or 3 songs. So great spin. These are so cool. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been repressed in one form or another on those earache reissues of the Peel session stuff, but this is just a great overview, you know? Yeah, seriously. How ahead of the curve was John Peel, you know? Like, we're talking about a weird older guy that was into prog and that kind of stuff, who's just like, hey, Britain, hey, mainstream Britain, check out Napalm Death. Then I got this Necromantheon Visions of Trismegistos CD. Recommended. Lance, one of my commenters, mentioned it as like a really good release of the year, so I figured I'd pull the trigger on it. I know it's kind of more like traditionally metal leaning, kind of black metalish stuff. Maybe not too different from Oracle's Blade. I'm not sure, but it sounds. And finally, I already talked about this plenty, but this is such a good record. Dungeon Serpent. The Dungeon Serpent EP, World of Sorrows. I decided I liked it enough. I wanted to upgrade it from a CD to an LP. So great, gritty, melodic death metal stuff. Drawing a lot of influence from like the darker side of melodic BM, not so much that kind of pretty Gothenburg stuff, but the more gritty side of things. Excellent, excellent recording. Denver. Thanks, John. What's up, man? Did you enjoy Salem? So that's about it. And I guess I'll hang out for a couple of minutes. Anybody have any questions? Anybody got any jokes?